Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of our baseball podcast. Joined as always by David Swor. I am DJ Cox. And David, it's about time. That's all I got to say, right? I mean, come on.
Yep. Every episode for the last year, we've been calling for Lee Salyers to come on. And I just want to let our listeners know this is probably going to be a PG-13 episode. You're going to hide, your kids are going to hide their eyes. Me and Lee are going to gang up on DJ on this one. You can guarantee
it. Well, Lee, thanks for coming on, man. It's a pleasure, bud.
Yeah, man, it's good to see you guys. It's fun hanging out with you guys. Miss you guys, reminiscing of the good old days. You guys are lifelong friends, always have, always will be, for sure.
So I got a question. Can we turn this into an episode of Live PD? We can, if something comes up, can we stay tuned in just to see what's going on?
Yeah, man. I've got my radio on, and if something happens, we might be able to go on a little car chase or something. Hey,
that would be awesome.
I highly look forward to that.
We had a guy passed out in the parking lot, so I had to go take care of him.
Nice.
This is an episode of baseball and cops in the same show. So here we go with this.
What more could you ask for, right?
So Lee, man, first of all, as much as it pains me to say this, and we'll get into the Braves a little later on, but I did want to say congratulations. I know it's been a long time since the Braves have been in the World Series, 1999. To be exact, if I'm not mistaken, you were probably about 18 years old at that time when they made the World Series last. So it's been a long time waiting for you, even longer than me and David. So I think you're kind of the bottom of the totem pole as your teams go right here, since it's taken that long for you guys to make the World Series. But congratulations, seriously. The series will start tomorrow, and we'll get into that later on in the show. But guys, I wanted to talk first of all about Ray Fosse, who passed away this past week. And one of the things that kind of he's known for is getting ran over by Pete Rose in the All-Star game. It's kind of crazy that, you're known for something like that happened in a game like that. And we'll get to that in a second. I kind of want your guys' opinion on that. But a little bit of a background on Ray. He played his high school ball down here in Southern Illinois, actually down in Southern Illinois. I'm on the northern part, obviously, but at Marion High School. He also attended Southern Illinois University. Ray broke into the majors with the Indians in 1967 and became a two-time All-Star with the Indians. After going to the A's in 1973, his life forever changed. The A's won 3 consecutive World Series in 1972, then brought Ray on to be the catcher in 73 and 74, where he won 2 rings with the A's in that dynasty that they had in the early 70s there. In 73, he was very prevalent in winning that title. 7 homers and 52 ribbies in that season in 143 games, 256 batting average, 291 on base percentage. He had 61 career homers and 758 career hits. So, nothing super crazy as far as his career goes, but a very good career. 2-time All-Star, 2-time World Series title holder. And man, when you go back to him, it's unfortunately you kind of know about the Pete Rose story in the extra innings of the All-Star game. Rose trucked him for the game-winning run, took him out.
Yeah,
and
in an exhibition game.
Exhibition game, very true. And so, I don't know, man. I really think I would have had a hard time not trying to punch Pete in the face for something like that. Fosse separated and fractured his left shoulder in the collision and was still feeling the effects of that for the rest of his life. He said 5 years ago. So he never went away from him, the effect of that. And he was also a broadcaster for the A's, guys, for a long time, from 1986 up until last year. So great career, man. He did a lot. He's known for a lot of different things. So, Lee, what'd you think in particular about that collision that Pete had in the All-Star game?
Well, you hate to see something like that, especially when, it's supposed to be just a bunch of guys together and having fun for a day, right? We're not playing for the World Series, for a world championship. the game doesn't mean anything. I get you wanting to give it your all every single play, things like that. But I mean, come on, man. The All-Star game, you trust somebody like that?
Yep, I agree. David, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel the same way. So Pete Rose is known for two things. Number one, being the all-time hits leader. I guess three things: gambling, number two, and the third thing, he was pretty much a capital jerk, and everybody knew that. And to me, this just proves it beyond a shadow of a doubt what a jerk he was. But I really didn't know anything about Ray Fosse. I went and looked at his Wikipedia today, and if you haven't done that, you need to check it out, because he not only got trucked that game, he got trucked by Jim Rice later in his career as well. And
Yep.
Jim Rice is a hoss, man. And injuries just kind of ruined his career, but was known for calling great games. He definitely caught multiple no-hitters on several World Series teams. So really underrated player. But yeah, what Pete Rose did was inexcusable in my book.
Yeah, he died at the age of 74 after a 16-year battle with cancer. So he fought a long fight, man. That's got to be obviously something awful and terrible to have to fight for that long. But like he was as a player, he fought as a human as much as he possibly could for 16 years, which is crazy to think that he actually won battling that disease for that long. But very tough to hear that. I talked to Coach Hall about this a little bit, to be honest with you, because that was his teams in the early 70s, is the A's and everything. And he says he doesn't remember too much about Ray, other than the fact that he was a defensive stalwart during those title runs there. And I think I saw where he threw out about 55% of the runners that attempted on him at one point. And so he was not only a pretty good hitter, man, he was hard to steal on. So Ray Fosse, rest in peace, no doubt. What an awesome career, and definitely a tough battle he had for a long time there. So
you gotta be a tough guy as a catcher, to be able to, back in those days especially, I mean, you were beat the heck, because the padding nowadays is nothing compared to what they wore back then. So he had a lot of fights, and that probably, helped him with that battle of, with cancer for 16 years, to be able to battle it for that long, to not just throw in the towel, just to keep fighting until the very end.
Yep, you got that right, man. It's a good point. That was the day and age of a lot of really good catchers too. You're talking when Carlton Fisk was playing. You're talking with a lot of those guys that are Hall of Famers that you think of as catchers. That these are the guys that were coming up when Ray was playing. So Thurman Munson was a big one back then too, and you had all kinds of Johnny Bench. Obviously, these guys were. It was a great era of catchers, and he was one of them. And the rest in peace for sure. And definitely hard to hear that this week. So Mike Schilt, guys, out as manager of the Cardinals. I'm just gonna jump right into this, Lee. So he was a manager from 2018 to 2021, had a 252 and 199 record. 3 out of his 4 seasons they make the playoffs. And they have a historic run in September, a 17-game winning streak. And then they can him. So what'd you think, Lee?
I mean, at first I was like, yeah, good for you, Cardinals, because I can't stand Mike Schilt. But in the grand scheme of things, like, he did an unbelievable job as a manager. Like, how do you fire that guy? They go from what, 3rd or 4th place in the Central, win 17 in a row to get the wild card spot with, a group of guys that had underachieved all year. They kind of went on the same. The Braves didn't win that many in a row, obviously, but they kind of went on the same run as both of those teams were in August, were, dead in the water. There's no way. And then they both kind of go on a run. But I mean, he even won 2019. He got National League Manager of the Year.
Yeah, good point.
And now here we are 2 years later. There's, philosophical differences. And so you just, can the guy, and they've made they made the playoffs 3 out of 4 years.
So David, I wish I really knew what philosophical differences those were, because they kept all of the coaching staff except for him. So there was something there that wasn't right. Obviously, I think the GM and him must have been button heads, or somebody up higher or something. I don't know exactly what it was what it is actually, but it's crazy, man. And they've already hired Oliver Marmol, who was their bench coach, to be their head coach now and their manager. So they moved fast. I think that they knew what they were doing, and it just happened quick, man.
This honestly reminds me a little bit of the Braves situation, if I'm being honest. Obviously, Snitker's not going anywhere right now, but, it's kind of the same deal, man. If you follow Twitter and that kind of stuff, you'll see Braves fans just giving Snitker down the road, but the guy just keeps winning. And so how do you part ways with that? And I feel the same way with Schilt. I don't understand this at all. I mean, let's be honest. The team that he had to play with this year, I mean, he had some good players, Arenado and Goldschmidt, but, I mean, a lot of old guys. The pitching staff, can you even name their starters? I mean, they ended up throwing J-Happ and John Lester out there at the end of the year. I mean, what do you want the guy to do? I totally don't get it. Obviously, like you said, there must have been some pretty serious differences, with the GM or something. I don't get it. This is crazy to me.
So the Padres are already had him in for an interview. So he's a finalist for the Padres job right now to take over there. What a good job that would be if he could get that, because they've got nowhere to go but up with all that talent that they've got. And I talked to Andrew Green about this, our Cardinals guy, just to kind of see what he thought. And he said that their pitching is healthy and consistent, but if their pitching was healthy and consistent, then their offense would be okay. But rumors have it that they're going to try to sign Trevor Story, but their GM also does not like to sign big name players. So they're all over the place right now. I don't know what they're going to do. I do think, and we've talked about this, David, with the Cardinals, is they've got two foundations in Goldschmidt and Arenado to build around, and they've got a couple really young, good young players. So do you think that it's their turn to go get a guy like Story now, or do you think they need some pitching help? What's the next step for the Cardinals?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's got to be pitching, right? I mean, you got Arenado and Goldschmidt in your lineup. You can kind of play a little bit with it there. I mean, they got some other good players too, Harrison Bader and guys like that. But yeah, I think they got to go get some pitching to put around Wainwright. Wainwright's not a spring chicken. I mean, he could break down any day, and he needs to have some good guys around him. So if I were them, I would go get pitching.
What do you think, Lee?
What they got out of Wainwright this year was unbelievable, in my opinion. I mean, I thought he was pretty much done, and then he has a great year this year, but I don't know how many more years like that he has left in him. I mean, you got Jack Flaherty, but he, battled injuries all year too. So I think you've got to have some pitching if you want to go deep, especially in the playoffs. Like the Dodgers, they ran out of the pitching, and the Braves, showed up. And that playoff time is really when that shows up.
Yeah, it really does. And the Cardinals aren't far away. The Central's up for grabs still. The Brewers are going to take a little bit of a step back, in my opinion. Man, and off this subject here, just real quick while I'm thinking of the Brewers, man, I just looked up Christian Yelich. I saw him swing the other day in the playoffs where his helmet almost fell off. It was kind of comical. But this guy is signed for the rest of the decade at, I want to say, $20 million a year for the rest of the decade, David, through 2029. And he's been awful the last 2 years. And they are locked into a very bad contract. He doesn't look like he's coming out of it really well. And I like Christian Yelich a lot, but man, that seems to be a very troubling contract. And the Brewers are stuck with that. And the Cardinals could just kind of run them right over and get back into the top of this division here if they play their cards right.
Yeah, man. I mean, from the Brewers' perspective, I mean, you're exactly right. I don't know what's going on with Yelich, but they just keep winning, DJ. And so if they can ever get him straightened out, bye Cubs. See you later. Because, I mean, Craig Counsell's the man. I don't know how he assembles and does all that. I mean, their pitching is amazing. If Yelich would just be Yelich, they would run away with that division.
Yeah, I mean, that's a key to them for sure. I mean, he's got to get back on track, and he's still young enough to make it happen. But if he's going to continue on as he is, they're in trouble with that. So, David, the next move we want to talk about is more on you. We're going to have you talk about this for a few minutes, and we've talked about this a ton, but it finally came to fruition here with Aaron Boone signing a 3-year extension to be the Yankees manager. So what do you feel about it, and what do you think going forward?
Well, I don't like it, obviously. voiced my displeasure all year with Aaron Boone. Guys, we've seen what a good manager can do for a team. The Red Sox are the perfect example. Honestly, not that good on paper to start the year. Rotation was horrible. Nobody that I know of picked them to be, in the playoffs, and here they are in the ALCS. So that's what a good manager can do for you. Aaron Boone has been gifted with a ton of talent. It's just underachieving every single year. So I'm not on board with this at all. I would have went a complete different direction. But having said that, I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but the Yankees fired a bunch of coaches in the process of all this. Reggie Willits is gone. Phil Nevin, thank God, is gone. Marcus Thames is gone. PJ Politeri gone. So
Jeff Nevin.
Jeff Nevin is not on third base anymore.
Yes. That's awesome.
But I would have went a different direction personally, but obviously he has a great relationship with Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner. So, we'll see.
As much as I hate to give you credit, David, you called Nevin and all those guys getting fired, and you called them guys having to go. And to your credit, that happened, man. And they were out just like that, basically. And they did keep Boone, and we'll see moving forward. Looking at it from not a Yankees perspective, I'm kind of just looking from the outside in. We'll see. I don't hate Aaron Boone. Don't think he's terrible by any means. I do think they underachieve, like you said, for sure, with all that talent. Something's got to give. If he doesn't put up in the next 3 years and get him a title, he's got to go for sure. But it's interesting.
We got to figure out a way to get Aaron Boone in Alex Rodriguez's seat. That's all I'm saying. He's an awesome announcer.
Yeah.
It would brighten my day just to have anybody else up there. If it was just complete silence, it would help me out. But we need Boone to be a broadcaster again, guys.
A-Rod pushed him out of his seat, so he sent him.
A-Rod. There's our A-Rod mention for this show. There we go. I love it.
Yeah, it wears me out.
I'm sure it wears Yankee fans out that Boston put them out of the playoffs 2 out of the last 4 years, too.
It's brutal, man. I was looking today. I saw a graphic that had the last 20 years worth of World Series winners. 4 times for the Red Sox in the since 2001, last 20 years. That hurts my feelings, guys. But anyway, no back-to-back champions, by the way, since 2000. No. That's crazy. That's amazing.
That is kind of crazy.
But hey, DJ, this is going to lead me into something I've been wanting to do for a while. So we've been changing the show up some, Lee. And so here's my contribution. I want to start a new segment called Ever Heard of Him? And so, DJ, I'm going to ask you the question. Carter Hawkins, ever heard of him? I've never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Oh, man, you put that one right on a tee and led me right into that one. That's a good one. I see what you did there. Very good. No, I have not. And I'm not going to lie to you and say that I knew of this guy or anything like that. Assistant GM, assistant to the assistant GM and the Indians. He was all kinds
to the manager.
all kinds of roles with the Indians there. Even when we played him in the World Series, I didn't even know anything of him. So having him come in now, he's got some fire. I've watched the interviews. I know nothing about him. I can't get excited one way or another. Everybody comes into a new job with fire, saying they're going to do this and that, and whether or not they actually do it is another thing. I kind of wish we had the GM in Atlanta who goes, oh, so 2 of my best outfielders are out. I'll go get 4 of them. Okay, yeah, that sounds like a plan. And then you go to the World Series. So this is the kind of stuff I expect out of Carter. And I'm still mad, you guys, about being 13th in payroll. I cannot – ever since I read that about 4 or 5 months ago, I've been fired up about that. I can't believe it. I really thought we were 7th or 8th in payroll. It's a joke. That needs to go up. He needs to be given the keys to spend money. This has got to happen. He needs to bring Bryant back, and then he needs to go get Cooper Seager or Trevor Story to play shortstop. He needs to build the offense first, and then we got to go get pitching some other way later on. But this offense needs a makeover big time. He needs to start with that. I want Bryant back, and I want one of those 2 guys for shortstop, and I will be happy with that offseason. You're shaking your head at me, David.
So, Lee, this is the delusional portion of our podcast, our weekly delusions. Let's just talk here for a second, Lee. We know that the Cubs are stripping this down. This is going backwards.
Yeah.
2026 is the target. All the prospects they traded for, a couple of them I think were still in high school. So, I mean, they're not signing Chris Bryant. Rizzo's not coming back. Baez isn't coming back. I mean, DJ, I hate to tell you, buddy, but get ready for a couple years of Alvaro Espinosa as your shortstop or somebody. I mean, you know what I mean? That's where we're headed.
You don't get rid of everybody mid-season, then you turn around in the off season and bring a bunch of guys back in. That's not how it works, DJ.
Not fantasy sports, DJ. It's not how this goes.
Yeah.
They're building the rookie ball program right now, and they'll have some good single A teams next year. But it's the seller for you guys, DJ. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, they're going to be signing some guys, you know, with hopes that they can trade them next year for more prospects, but it's over.
I don't know that they could be the Lookouts right now, DJ. You know, maybe come down here to Chattanooga.
Wow. We're going down that road, huh? Nice.
I mean, you know, the guys that they brought in to play after they traded all these other guys away, you're like, ever heard of them? Like, you know.
DJ, and I think we had a conversation. I need to go back actually, because this is where you need to watch the Yu Darvish episode, Lee, when DJ was thinking they were going to get Mackenzie Gore for him and all this stuff. But I'm almost positive that there were rumors of Chris Bryant to the Braves for Austin Riley, and DJ was like, how would that have turned out, DJ?
Yeah, that would have been very nice, right?
Yeah, you got me there. I was talking about the third baseman, J.D. Davis and Austin Riley. Both of them, how I was like, don't trade him to the Mets for J.D. Davis. Don't trade him to the Braves for Austin Riley. Ouch. I kind of ate my words on that one a little bit, no doubt. I would love to have me some Austin Riley right now. That guy. Holy cow.
But he was a guy in the off season where, you know, people were like, let's trade him away. You know, Braves fans had already given up on him. Like, the guy hasn't even had a chance to play every day really yet. I mean, how can you give up? This is a guy's stud prospect. And now then he's got a chance to win the National League MVP.
Yeah.
He is a finalist for sure, man. He's got numbers just as good as anybody in the NL for MVP. And that's what we're going to be talking about in a couple of weeks, David, is who our picks are for the final awards and everything like that. And he's going to be on there. And we're going to have to take a really good look at him and try to make a case for him not being the MVP, I think, over Tatis, which is going to be hard to do because, man, it's hard, Lee, when you're going through these awards to not think of what he's been doing in the playoffs. It is, you know. So,
yeah, it's hard, and you know, and I guess really what, you know, the way I stack it up, I'm a Braves guy, but these other guys, you know, Harper, Tatis, Soto, they didn't make the playoffs. You know, their teams didn't make the playoffs. So how could you be a National League MVP when your team, you know, didn't even advance to the next round? You know, but, you know, Freeman and him may split some votes too and knock each other out of it. So I don't know.
Ooh, that's a good point. Teammates kind of hurt each other at times. That's going to happen in the NL Cy Young Award race with the Dodgers guys for sure. Good point. Yeah. So, man, this is a new era of Cubs baseball. It was Theo and Jed. Now it's Jed and Carter. Here we go, David. It's going to be a great offseason for the Cubs. I'm predicting it. We're going to sign lots of awesome names. You two, you're going to eat your words on this one. This is something we're going to go back and make you eat your words on, like I did the Austin Riley trade. So we'll see how that works out for you guys in about a month.
About a month. They won one World Series in 100 years, DJ.
That's right. And it's still been more recent than the Braves have ever won it. Or the Yankees.
You got me there.
Yeah.
All right, so let's break down the National League Championship Series, guys. This was an awesome series. I obviously was going for the Dodgers the whole time. Lee, you were obviously going for the Braves. And David, who knows what you're doing, just probably making fun of both of us at the same time. So
Yep. I was a diehard Braves guy. So, Lee, new segment. I just thought about it. I just got dumber. That's the new segment. So so let's just be honest about this series. Chris Taylor put the Dodgers on their back and carried them pretty much in every game.
Yeah.
But DJ made a Facebook post that tried to lump Pujols into this. He said Pujols and C3 or whatever it is they call him.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Wow.
It's unhealthy, Lee. Something is up with this relationship. I don't get it. There's a problem.
Pujols didn't even play every game. Like he only came in when Lefty was on the mound.
Like I said, I just got dumber. I can jump in with the Chris Taylor comment. I mean, he hit like 5 home runs, I think, in the series. He literally was all of their offense for a couple of those games. But Pujols, DJ, where's that coming from?
Every time he played, he produced with hits, man. That's all I'm saying. He's a hitting machine. He's an RBI machine.
Not every
You
time.
make fun of the defense. You can make fun of the speed. You can make fun of all that. But that guy, when you put him in the lineup, is going to hit, and he's going to knock runs in. And it's been consistent all year long. I don't know what you're reading. I've given you
got
all
released.
the stats.
It's not been consistent all year long.
Stats.
I just got dumber.
He was hit under 200 when he went to the Dodgers.
I mean, they literally were playing him once a week. And DJ was so in love with this guy, Lee. He picked him up in fantasy baseball. I mean, something's just not right. I don't get it.
DJ, what is the matter with you?
Well, I'm just going to get into this right now. So we'll go through that. We'll get there. So game 1, the Braves win 3-2. And just talking about Austin Riley, Lee, this is the game where he walks it off of Blake Trinan of all men, and Blake Trinan was untouchable this year. So for Austin to walk off against him was very impressive. Blake has been unhittable, and that makes it even more outstanding. The Dodgers used 8 pitchers in this game. Max Fried went 6 strong for the Braves. Chris Taylor was, of course, 2 for 3 with a ribby in that game. It was a big game for the Braves to jump ahead right away and go up 1-0. Lee, what do you think of game 1?
Yeah, I don't know. Trinan gave up a hit the rest of the series. Like he's just that dominant, and for Riley to be able to jerk one down the line off of him to win the game in a game really, for the Braves that you need game 1. You're going up against the Dodgers, reigning World Series champions, and a roster. An offensive lineup that definitely wasn't as good as they were last year. They were banged up, no Muncy, Bellinger, which Bellinger had a good series, but coming in, he didn't even play all year. He's banged up too. But to have a chance to knock the World Series champions off, you got to have game 1. And so that was big.
David, what do you think?
Yeah, unbelievable. I watched every pitch of this game. I'm pretty sure I may have missed a little bit, or every pitch of this series. We were pulling pretty hard for the Braves in the Swor household, believe it or not. Really, mostly because the kids wanted to see DJ lose and cry. So when Riley had that hit, man, it erupted in here, and. Man, honestly, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I didn't pay that much attention to the National League this year. I had no idea Austin Riley had such an awesome year. So when Lee texted something about the MVP, I thought, what? But yeah, you go back and look at the stats. It totally matches up. There's nobody's got better stats than he's got. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely a candidate, but awesome series. Absolutely awesome.
So game 2, Lee, this is the key game of the series for the Braves. I really believe that when you look back on it now. Dale Murphy throws out the first pitch, which is really cool. He had a bunch of jerseys on there. The Braves got this one, and I got worried, I'll admit it, after they went up 2-0. I was like, oh, no. Dodgers start to fall apart at the seams. Muncy's already out, and then Justin Turner's, banged up, and he's out of this game, and he ends up his hammy and it being out for the rest of the series too. So that's another guy they lost. The Braves win 5-4 on yet another walk-off by another guy who's been crazy since they got him, Eddie Rosario. With first base open, guys on second and third, Roberts decides to pitch to him for some reason that I still don't get. And he takes Gratterall out too, which is stupid, and brings in Jansen. And Eddie Rosario's eyes must have been like, ooh, I got this guy. He likes him up the middle. And this game is over, guys. So I thought it was very bad managing to, first of all, not just walk him and cut your ties on a guy who's on fire. And then Gratterall has been just as dominant as Trinan has been the entire postseason. So I don't know why he went to Jansen there. So, Lee, what'd you think of game two?
Yeah, I mean, he comes in and throws that cutter that's dead center cut of the plate. And I guess Rosario was like, that's what he knew he was going to throw, because he tattooed that ball and Seager couldn't handle it. And that ended the game. But I didn't understand really the whole series, that why the Braves pitched to Taylor and why the Dodgers kept pitching to Rosario, because they were the only two guys doing anything. Like, Rosario drove in all the runs, basically. It was all the Braves offense. And they just kept throwing to him and didn't even try to pitch around him. But yeah, you're feeling pretty good up 2-0 going back to Atlanta, after that. But, with the Braves, I never feel comfortable about that, because there was a time, how we were up 2-0 in the World Series in 1996, going back to Atlanta after going to Yankee Stadium and spanking them, and then you lose 4 straight games, so yeah, nothing was ever safe and felt comfortable, especially, game 3, they really had that one in the 8th inning. Luke Jackson comes in and gives up a 3-run bomb, and just like that, I was like, oh no, the series has just, turned the Dodgers' way. But it didn't. Braves in the World Series.
David, what'd you think of game 2?
Yeah, I thought Dave Roberts pulled a classic Aaron Boone and overmanaged the pitching staff here. I'm like you. How do you pull Gratterall? He's throwing 102 miles an hour. It's not like one more batter would have broke him. I don't understand that. Aaron Boone does this stuff all the time, where they bring in the closer, to get the last out in the 8th. It doesn't need to happen. Gratterall is good enough to be anybody's closer. You don't have to do that. And so thought it was crazy. I also thought it was kind of weird. Not weird, but I expected Seager to catch that ball. I don't know if you guys watched the play back. I mean, the ball was smashed.
Yeah.
But it really, you could make a really good case that was just a knee. I mean, just to be honest with you. Anyway, awesome game. Just, overmanaging. I think that's what killed the Dodgers.
I'll say this too about the Dodgers. Trey Turner was not a good second baseman. He was awful there all year long, ever since they stuck him there to keep Seager at shortstop. If they moving forward and if they re-sign Seager and Turner's their second baseman, he's got a lot of defensive work to do, because he struggled mightily on plays up the middle with his backhand. He struggled a lot throwing the ball from second. And guys, it's not easy. When you're a shortstop your whole life and you're asked to play a different position, it's very tough. And he struggled mightily. And there were some balls hit up the middle in this series that Turner couldn't handle either. And it got frustrating for him, I'm sure. And we'll see what the Dodgers do with those two moving forward. So game 3, Lee, you already kind of mentioned it. The Dodgers won 6-5. Bellinger hits a 3-run bomb to tie the game. And then Mookie with a game-winning RBI double. And then Jansen somehow looks good in the 9th of this game and gets a save. So 2-1, Lee, you were kind of talking. You started to get worried after this game. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you felt like you had game 3, as well as the Braves bullpen had been pitching all year long, and so far in the series, so you felt pretty good. And I thought back to last year when the Braves, had the 3-1 lead against the Dodgers, and then the Dodgers got some momentum, and then they won 3 straight games, and I'm like, teams like that, you can't give them any kind of momentum. Until once the bats get hot, it could be all over, because as you can see that the Dodgers put up runs. They won 11-2, another game of the series, and even last year they pounded the Braves a couple of games in the playoffs. So I was just scared of those bats really getting going. And I said, man, this was you had them down and could deliver the knockout blow, and you gave them some life, and but they were able to hold on.
David, the ball that Bellinger hit out was pretty much at his eyeballs. Talk about that homer.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say about that, man. I mean, and it was a bomb too. It was It was a no-doubter. And Bellinger, I think, hit about 150 for the year.
Yes.
And so, it was just crazy. He got hot then, and I think he had another big home run or a big double or something later on in the series as well. But yeah, I'm like Lee. I thought it was slipping away from the Braves. I just had this feeling of doom after that happened. But like I said, obviously that didn't come true.
So you move on to game 4, Lee, and the Braves dominate and win the game 9-2. Rosario with 4 more ribbies in this game. Crazy. Julio Urias is just getting lit up. 5 runs and 5 innings pitched for the loss for him. The Braves dominated this game from start to finish. The Dodgers were never in it and on the brink of elimination all of a sudden. So here's the thing is like you start to see that Urias is not pitching very well. They're down to 2 starters now, basically down 3-1 in the series. They're on life support. If they were going to win the next 3 games, it was almost going to take a miracle with how banged up they were. And that was a huge win for the Braves. So how'd you feel when it was 3-1, Lee?
You felt pretty good when it was 3-1 and you just, you banged your ice around and you're like, well, who else is going to throw? Especially, going in game 5, you have Max Fried, your ace, on the mound. And, the Dodgers have got to go with a bullpen game. And Dave Roberts has used like 12 pitchers in every game so far. You're like, how long can these guys keep up throwing everybody every night? Because the Braves really, knocked the Dodgers starting pitching, because Scherzer and Buehler, the first time out, they knocked both of them around the first time around. So, and Dave Roberts had to go to his bullpen early and often, and, eventually just gave out.
What'd you think, David?
I have to wonder if Urias wasn't a little bit like Scherzer. He pitched in relief, which I thought was weird in one of the earlier games, either game 1 or game 2. And of course, we saw Scherzer, ran out of gas and he had the tired arm. So you wonder how much that played into this. And I mean, you got to give the Braves credit; they definitely knocked him around. But I just wonder, how much was it just fatigue from pitching a couple nights before? I mean, I think he threw about 20, 25 pitches or whatever that night, and he got knocked around that night too.
Yeah, they scored a couple runs off of it that night. And I wonder too, going back to even the Giants series of game 5, when they chose to go with the opener instead of Urias, what kind of confidence does that show that you have in a 20-game winner with that you don't start him in the biggest game of the year?
Yeah, it seems like nonsense to me, to be honest. I mean, maybe they knew something. Maybe they knew he was kind of running out of gas. They track those spin rates and all that kind of stuff. But I thought the same thing. I mean, what 20-game win pitcher? I mean, Cy Young candidate,
right?
Doesn't start. I mean, that's insane.
It was weird, man. You're right. And the handling of the pitching is what ended up costing the Dodgers a ton in this series. So game 5, Chris Taylor game, 3 homers. Absolutely unbelievable show he puts on. He's got 6 ribbies in the game. A.J. Pollock, he's got 4 ribbies in this game. Pujols also dominates, going 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored. He circles the bases and scores twice.
Are you sure? Did they have to roll him?
He did great.
The wheelchair.
Albert had a boy. Huge 11-2 win. The Braves had a bullpen game in this one, and it worked out this time for the Dodgers to make it 3-2. And then as you go into game 6, Lee, you're kind of seeing that Scherzer's not going to start. And they didn't really announce who was going to start this game. So it got a little bit dicey there. And you were actually the one who was saying, hey, Scherzer's not starting this game. And I was like, oh, what are they going to do? Because, it was either Urias on no rest or Buehler on 3 days rest or another bullpen game. So the Braves had him right where they wanted him going into game 6 and ended up working out for him. So game 6, Lee, the Braves get Buehler yet again on 3 days rest because Dodgers are struggling. So Chris Taylor makes it 4-2. Then they get 3 consecutive Ks out of the bullpen, and that game started to get close there. So talk about the relief performance in game 6 that saved the series.
Yeah, I mean, he trots Luke Jackson out there in the 7th inning, and I'm like, oh no. And, which Luke Jackson has been great all year long, really what solidified that bullpen during the season. But, playoff baseball, it's a little bit different, and he hasn't really been as sharp And so, yeah, they give up the run to make it 4-2, and he's got guys on second and third with nobody out. And you're like, here we go again. And so he brings Matzik in, and I'm just hoping for some miracle that they just get one run out of that. So, because, sack fly, a ground out, something, they get that guy in from third. Let's hold it 4-3. And then Matzik just comes in throwing BBs and said, here it is. See if you can hit it. And he strikes out the side to end the seventh. And then he comes right back out in the eighth. And I think he threw like 6 or 7 pitches in the eighth inning to finish him off in the eighth. And then it was more of the same out of Will Smith in the ninth inning. So, I mean, between Mentor and Matzik and Smith, the 3 of those guys have been dominant this playoff season.
So, Lee, talk me through when the Braves win the pennant. Who are you with? What are your feelings? It's been since 1999. How are you feeling there, man?
Oh, man, I'm jumping up like crazy when they finally make the World Series. It's been 22 years since since I graduated high school and was a freshman at Tennessee Temple, since they made the World Series. And of course the whole family, they're up, and Ashley's looking at me like I'm an idiot, like that I hadn't had anything to cheer for 20 years, like, come on, we're in the World Series, and I, win it or not, especially the year that they've had this year, halfway through the season, it didn't look good. Acuna goes down, and then they catch fire the last 2 months of the season, because there's been those seasons where the Braves had 100-win seasons, and they coasted last 2 weeks of the regular season, and then it come playoff time and they couldn't turn it back on. So for them this year, for the job that Snicker did, pulling them guys together, you got Jock Peterson running around with pearls on, and and they were just they remind me a lot of the Dodgers, because they were loose and just they didn't tighten up like they have in the past, and they're making a run at it. So yeah, I was going crazy for sure.
That's awesome, man. It really is, and it's gotta be a lot of fun for you this week, no doubt, starting tomorrow. So the ALCS guys, the Astros and the Red Sox, game 1, the Astros win 5-4. Boston gets it to 5-4 in the ninth, but can't overcome it. They scored a run there to get really close. Didn't end up happening for him. Kike with 4 hits, and holy cow, did he have a series. Sale only goes 3 innings, allowing 1 run. He was very bad in this series. Framber only goes the same amount, 3 innings, and allows 3 runs himself. So the pitching just does not go long in either of these series. It's crazy to see that. Altuve with a 3-run bomb was the big blow for the Astros. The Astros used 8 pitchers. So how do you guys feel about the pitching in the playoffs so far after game 1 of the ALCS and how the NLCS went? Nobody goes long anymore in these playoffs. So what's happening here, Lee?
Baseball is changing. I mean, we had, there's no more Nolan Ryan throwing 200 pitches in a game to go all 9, and even the last, 3 or 4 years, really. I mean, at 5 innings max, these guys are going, and they're going to the bullpen. They've got, 12 guys usually on a playoff roster. And so the first, sign of trouble, they're going out and getting them. And I guess that's, more the analytics stuff where they feel like the third time around in the lineup, these guys have really got a good look at what the pitcher's throwing out there, and they're getting, tired. And, a lot of these guys too they're not pounding the strike zone anymore either. These starting pitchers are nibbling. So, the 5th inning, they're 80 pitches already. And so let's get them out and get another guy in there.
Yeah, David, I mean, both you and Lee are pitchers, so this is kind of right up your road. So, David, here's the thing, man. You know how this is you wait 5 days for your start. And if coach comes out there after 50 pitches and you're just giving up 1 hit and he pulls you, I mean, how do you feel about that? As a starting pitcher, I mean, I just kind of am blown away by how these starters just kind of are first sign of trouble, out. 5 innings at the most. So what are your thoughts, David?
Well, I've said it before. I hate this, and it does work sometimes, but there's plenty of cases it doesn't work. And so I think it's overrated, just to be honest with you. I look at Luis Garcia. That's his last name, the pitcher for the Astros there.
Astros, yeah.
Basically has a no-hitter
Right.
Into the 6th inning. He gives up a hit and they yank him. Like, what are you doing? And so, like I said, I mean, I just think this whole thing is overrated. I think people look at the Rays and teams like that and see the success they have and try to duplicate it. But a lot of times what you end up with is overmanaging that honestly doesn't work. And like I said, you can look at the Dodgers as a perfect example. You end up with a bunch of wore-down pitchers, and I know they were short some guys, but you end up with a bunch of wore-down pitchers, and I just don't think it works any better.
So game 2 is 9-5 Red Sox. Kike with 2 more hits. Devers has 4 ribbies. J.D. Martinez 4 ribbies. There was 2 grand slams early in the game by those two. That put them up huge. And Uvalde pitches solid into the 6th, and the B-level bullpen guys close it out for the Red Sox to even the series. Luis Garcia in this game, though, David, 1 inning pitched, 5 earned runs. So when that happens, you can see why they get him out. That's a whole different animal right there.
Sure.
But rookie mistake on his part by his first time in a big game like that. So he struggled mightily in game 2. Yuli Gurriel, who won the batting title this year, which is crazy, had 3 ribbies for the Astros as well in the loss. We move on to game 3. The Red Sox went 12-3, 6 runs in the 2nd and 3 runs in the 3rd. They're jumping out in these next 2 games really quick, putting the Astros away and out of it fast. Kyle Tucker had all 3 ribbies for the Astros. Jose Urquidy, 5 earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched, and we're going to talk about this later too. Schwarbaum had a grand slam. Kike, 2 more hits. Christian Arroyo, 3 ribbies. Christian Vasquez and J.D. Martinez, 2 ribbies. Eduardo Rodriguez goes 6 innings, 3 earned, and told Carlos Correa, "It's my time." So what'd you think about that, Lee? What'd you think about this whole "it's my time" thing?
Back in the day, these guys would be getting beamed left and right for this stuff that they're doing nowadays. It's different baseball now, and I get it. It's fun for the up and comers, but us old timers, we don't like it too much for sure. But
Well,
David, after.
Oh yeah, I hear you, man. So David, what'd you think of the offensive explosion by the Red Sox in game 2 and 3?
Yeah, it really freaked me out, to be honest with you, because obviously I don't want the Red Sox to do any good, and I just couldn't believe it, to be honest. Well, I could believe that they were hitting the ball, but I just couldn't believe that they were beating the Astros that bad. And honestly, at that point, I thought the series was over. I really did.
Yeah.
The other thing to pull out of this from the Red Sox is, when did Nathan Eovaldi turn into such a stud? Obviously I had to watch him for 3 years with the Yankees, and you'd see flashes of things now and then, but man, like, he's money now, especially in the playoffs.
Got that right, man. So game 4, Astros win 9-2, tied the series at 2. Top of the 9th, the Astros blow up for 7 runs. The game was tied at 2. Greinke goes 1.1 innings, giving up 2 earned. These Astros pitchers are not getting out of the 2nd and 3rd innings all series, which is crazy, man. Michael Brantley gets 3 ribbies in the win as well. The Astros tie the series and get a huge win to tie it at 2. You move on to game 5. The Astros win 9-1. Yordan Alvarez is scary, Lee, and you better be a little afraid of him. 3 ribbies, 3 hits. Yuli Gurriel had another 3 hits and 3 ribbies as well. Jose Siri, David, ever heard of him?
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
He plays center fielder and gets 2 ribbies for him that game. Framber goes 8, David, with 1 run allowed. Now we finally get a good start out of an Astros pitcher. And David, you called this before the season. I listened to the Astros preview for a few minutes a few days ago, and you said that he's a huge key to the Astros' success this year, and you called that, man. He got the big win in game 5, ended up being huge for them to get to the World Series. So talk about Framber, man. Talk about him for a second, David.
Man, I love Framber. I love it because he's a pitcher. He's not a thrower. He's a pitcher. And, me and Lee talked a little bit. I was worried when McCullers went down, about the Astros pitching. And obviously, if they'd had McCullers, it would have made a huge difference. But Framber showed up when he needed to show up. And guys, I want to throw this out there about Yordan Alvarez. I think it was this game. They put a shift on him. No right fielder with a lefty up. What do you guys think about that?
I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, they're doing all these shifts and everything, but it's always around to the pull side. And then he's left-handed here with no right fielder. Like, what is
I mean, where were the outfielders? Were they all standing in center field? I mean, I don't really know what was going on.
I'll be nice. I want to really say something really bad here about with our Temple Bays here about what I had to do when I was playing center field, but I'll leave that to another time. But no, man, I don't get it. Like, yeah, I know. I'll be careful. So the ball is hit into the corner, and like you said, it took about 15 seconds for somebody to even get the ball, and you got Yordan.
I think the second baseman picked it up.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the second baseman picked it up.
Yeah, you're right. It was crazy, man, and absolutely unbelievable. But pretty crazy
what
how
does
that
spray
happened.
chart look like?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to put somebody on the pull side, right? I mean, like, if you want to leave, that just blew my mind.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That was absolutely crazy. So game 6, guys. Saw every second of this game. Luis Garcia, like you said, David, rocked it for 5 2/3 of no-hit ball. He gives up a triple to Kike Hernandez, of course, because that guy's on fire. Unbelievable. And they yank him, Lee. They took him out.
Get him out.
What the world? Now, this worked out, but I just do not get it, man. I really don't get it. It's unreal. Playoff baseball is so different. It's crazy. What do you think, Lee?
It's classic Dusty Baker mismanaging his pitching staff.
Hey, but he had his mask on.
But he had his mask and his gloves. Yeah, you know.
And his toothpick.
Oh.
You know, it might as well have an astronaut suit on or something, you know, like. Yeah.
So Yordan Alvarez, man, 4 for 4 in this game. He ends up being the ALCS MVP. Kyle Tucker hit a 3-run bomb for the Astros as well. So just crazy.
Alvarez, the Bonds treatment.
Oh man, you're gonna have to in the preview, man. You're right. Like, no way, man. Are you kidding me? That guy's on fire. So Lee, I gotta tell you, and I'm sure you already saw this, but I did predict this World Series before the season started. Braves versus Astros. David picked Astros versus Dodgers, but then the White Sox got in the playoffs and faced the Astros, and he backed out on the Astros and went White Sox, Dodgers. So he's completely out of this thing.
No,
so I'm right.
I picked
He's
the
wrong.
Astros. I had to pick the White Sox just because I knew you would hate it.
You're killing me, man. So Lee, I've got some questions here for the World Series preview. I want your guys' answers on a few things here. So what do you feel, David, is the key to the Astros versus the Braves?
Pitching. I think both these teams are going to hit. But I think, especially for the Astros, it's going to come down to pitching.
Lee?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, especially the Astros pitching in the Red Sox series was not good. They had a couple of good starts, but outside of that, their bullpen has not been that great this year. Closer shaky, which Will Smith was shaky with the Braves all year long, and then here in the playoffs, he hasn't given up anything. So I feel like pitching wise, I feel like the Braves have the edge in this one. Going into it. Astros definitely have the edge offensively. They've got some big boppers in that lineup that you're going to have to keep at bay, which is going to be tough to do. But I think pitching wins championships, and you can score all these runs in the regular season with hitting 500 home runs as a team. Becoming playoff time against good pitching, you can shut those bats down.
David, I did not hear. Is Lance McCullers out for the World Series too?
Out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know that. When you brought that up, completely forgot he was out of the ALCS. When I'm trying to go through their rotation, I'm like, somebody's missing. And Greinke should be like their fifth starter, so to speak, So Greinke gets bumped up a little bit here now, and McCullers is out. That kind of hurts him, no doubt. So, Lee, your prediction: Braves in what?
I'm going to say Braves in 6.
Okay, David.
I'm going to say Braves in 7. I think this is going to be a tough series, man. I think the Astros are quite a bit better on the hitting side than the Braves, but I do think the Braves have better, especially starting pitching.
I'm going Braves in 7 as well. So, Lee, Jorge Soler, or Jock Peterson?
Well, they're going to go with the platoon when, they put the lefty on the mound, which I think, Garcia's going first, right, in game 1. And, so they're going to go lefty game 1. So I think Soler is going to start, and then they'll flop and put Peterson in there when the righty is on the mound. But, Snickers said that he's going to keep Rosario probably in the leadoff spot instead of putting Soler back up there. And, why not? The guy hit 500 in the NLCS. So, why change it up? It's weird, the whole thing with the batting Acuna lead off, and these guys hit 45 home runs from the leadoff spot. But why change it once you do? Then you can bring Peterson as that, dynamite pinch hit off the bench. So
it's a big weapon.
Yeah.
Good problem to have. David, how do you use Zach Greinke in this series? Do you start him game 4? Do you not start him if it's a loss? If they're down 3-0, do you go somewhere else? How do you handle Zach Greinke?
I'm starting him. I'm still a believer in Zach Greinke. I think the Red Sox were a really bad matchup for him, but Zach Greinke's a Hall of Famer. He's still got some stuff left in the tank, but he would have a quick hook. I'm starting him, probably looking to pull him out that second time through the lineup at some point.
All right, guys, let's play a quick little segment here called Who Has a Better? All right, number 1, offense. What do you think, Lee?
Astros.
David?
Astros. Yeah.
I agree 100%. Astros. Starting pitching, Lee?
Braves.
David?
Braves.
I agree. Bullpen, Lee?
The way they're pitching, I really feel like, the Braves have got it rolling here in the playoffs. Before playoff time, I would have said Astros, but right now I feel like Braves have the edge there.
Yeah, I actually agree. I would have said push before the season started, or before the series started. But Matzik has found it, and Smith has been pretty reliable. So I'm gonna go with the Braves too.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Coaching staff, Lee?
That's a toss up there. Both managers kind of do some things that kind of scratch your head a little bit. But Snicker's been there, and every year, they've advanced one step farther each year, and but his bullpen decisions sometimes have me scratching my head. But I'll go with Braves for the coaching staff.
Hey, I'm going with Dusty Baker. He's won everywhere. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer, DJ. You're going to hate it. And he fights COVID. So I'm going with Dusty Baker.
I don't even think I have to answer this one. I'm 100% Braves on this one. There's no doubt about it.
Whatever.
Dusty Baker has made 2 World Series in his entire career as a manager, and he choked in the one he was in. He will choke in this one. Braves in 7. So, Lee, I got a question for you real quick before we transition to your part of the show. If you can't host the All-Star game, how can you guys host the World Series?
Rob Manfred, you got mud all over your face now. I mean, you pull the All-Star game from Atlanta. That's fine. We'll just go to the World Series.
This stuff is just nonsense, guys.
I was so mad when they did it. Like, I was like, I'm just going to boycott the whole season. I was so mad. when they took the All-Star game away from Atlanta over something stupid. I mean, they had all this stuff planned to honor Hank Aaron. I mean, ever heard of him?
Exactly.
And Will Smith pulls his movie out of Atlanta that they were filming there because of Georgia voting rights. But it's just crazy. And now they're going to have 3 games. If they don't sweep and have just 2 games, but have 3 games in Atlanta, which I looked, and for game 3, standing room only, $1,000 to get the gate.
Wow. Good for them, man. That's what I say. Good for them. I hope this completely blows up in Rob Manfred's face. We've talked about this before, DJ. What made that movie even dumber? Where do they move it?
Yeah.
Colorado, to almost a completely white city who has the same voting laws that Georgia has. What are you doing? Do your research at least. I mean, my gosh.
Absolutely unbelievable. I knew that would get you fired up a little bit. So I had to go there with that, because that is just it makes Manfred look more of a moron than he already is. So Lee, talk about how you became a Braves fan, buddy. Who were your favorite players growing up?
Well, really the earliest memory that I have was, 91 when the Braves go worst to first. You got Sid Bream sliding into home against the Pirates, and Barry Bonds throws a 52 hopper from left field. I think I could have made a better throw to get Sid Bream running the bases. I mean, I think he's a little bit faster than Albert Pujols, maybe, but
that's been a good race. That'd be a good race.
Ron Gant was their left fielder then, and he was one of my favorite players. At that time, I had the open stance like he did, and he was having a year until he got that motorcycle wreck and broke his leg, and he never was the same. Out of that, after that, and of course, you got Tom Glavine, the lefty pitcher, like I am, and there was a guy named Greg Maddux that was okay. He came from the Cubs. Okay pitcher. David Justice, Chipper Jones. Prime Dog, Fred McGriff. You got plenty of guys there, and but my favorite all time would have to be John Rocker. On the mound.
Yes. The sprint from left field.
Yeah, so the sprint from left field. I mean, you thought the guy was just going to fight everybody when he came out onto the mound. You never what that guy was going to do. Of course, Bobby Cox and Leo Mazzoni sitting over there rocking back and forth the whole time. Yeah. So the 90s were definitely some good baseball. Yeah, you only won the World Series. Thanks a lot, Kirby Puckett. And of course there was another guy named Jim Leyritz. But they kind of had some things to say about the Braves, knocking the Braves out. But the 90s were pretty good, and you never thought it would take 22 years before you made another World Series. But my dad, granddad, everybody were Braves fans, so it was just natural to start just follow along with those lines. So
that's awesome, man. So talk about Lee in high school, your baseball career there. Who'd you play for? How was your team? How'd you do?
Yeah, I played for a small Christian school, Kingsport Christian School. And I made the varsity team as an 8th grade because they were just, K through 12. So at a small Christian school, I was able to make the varsity team as an 8th grader, and played right field. And we actually won the state my 8th grade year, believe it or not. And
awesome.
From there, I played the outfield all over the place. Of course, I was a lefty pitcher and stuff. So hit a lot, stole a lot of bases, but we never did win another state title. We made it a few more years. And, the biggest, my junior year, we had a great team, and we came up against a team that had some pitchers throwing, Grinky Ephus pitches in there. They were like, soft tossing to us, and we couldn't hit it. We were just way out in front, and got upset the junior year from that. And then I actually changed high schools my senior year and went to Tri-Cities Christian and tore my ACL playing basketball that year. So I wasn't able to play the baseball season my senior year until the state tournament. Like, I had surgery like in March. In the state tournament, I somehow convinced my dad and the coaches to let me go out and play first base. Like, I couldn't hit or anything, so they DH'd for me, but they put me on first base. Yeah. And so and they hit so one play I'll never forget is they hit a shot and I dive and somehow make the play and then hobble over to first base and get the out. Didn't have any business being out there, probably a month or two maybe at the most out of ACL surgery.
Wow.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. That's a lot of passion though, to be able to want to do that for sure. So talk about your transition there from high school to Temple. So how did that all happen? I know at the beginning of Temple, you were playing a little soccer too. So talk us through all that.
Yeah. So I came, I found out about Tennessee Temple because in basketball, the TACS played their state tournament at Tennessee Temple. So that's how I knew of the school there. And, I really was probably better at soccer than I was at baseball, which baseball has always been my first love and passion. But so I was going to play soccer, and then I get to the financial aid office because Dale Hamilton was the soccer coach then, and he was also in financial aid. So I'm in the financial aid office, on campus or whatever. And then that's when I meet Coach Hall, and we got to talking about baseball. And I told him, I was a left-handed pitcher, love baseball. I told him I could throw, 7 different pitches, and also that I was ambidextrous. And so,
Nice. Jesse Naftel, ever heard of him?
Dirty.
Naftel shout out there. So he gave me a baseball scholarship on the spot. No, I mean, but we did talk, and I told him, I was a left-handed pitcher, I like playing baseball. So that first year I did play some soccer and some baseball. And then after that soccer year, coming off of ACL surgery, I just wasn't as fast as everybody else. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to give soccer up and play baseball. So played a couple years of baseball, just pitched. Left Temple actually for a semester and went back home to Milligan College for a semester and played soccer in the fall of that my third year, junior year. And just, I was miserable. I went going back home, staying at home after being at college for 2 years away from my parents. And I was like, then I decided to come back, in the spring that year. And I didn't play that year. I just kept the books the rest of the year that year. It was funny. I just remember that I kept the books that year when I came back, and then played the next.
Forgotten that.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that too. And then the next 2 years, I played, and I think, I got one college win as a pitcher. But I think me and Adam Mishaw threw 1,000 innings in the bullpen. Coach Shaw's always Lee and Adam, go get ready, so we were always ready. And then our senior years, me and David decided to make that transition to the field, a little second base action. And then I got to play some outfield that last year, probably hit maybe 200, maybe made a couple of catches in the outfield. But it was a lot of fun. And was an experience, that I'll never forget. One time I was on the mound, and we were playing Martin Methodist, and I threw a pitch, and I hear somebody behind the screen yell "school zone."
Oh my goodness.
And I just couldn't help but laugh because I was, I didn't throw maybe 65, maybe. But I just threw a bunch of junk. Coach Hall would always bring me in after somebody throwing pretty hard, and I was left-handed, could throw a 12-6 curveball. And so I looked at the guy yells school zone, so we've got all kinds of baseball stories. There's one time we went to Clearwater for spring break, or Alabama or something, and I don't remember the name of the team. Our pitcher had a good game going, and had a routine ground ball to second base, and our second baseman gets his cleat stuck in a shoelace.
Oh yeah.
And just completely falls over.
Chuck Knobloch, ever heard of him?
Yeah, I'm like, Dave remembers that all too well.
Oh yeah.
And then I guess that next game was when Howard got trucked behind home plate, and he was woozy.
No doubt.
Oh wow. Hey,
So
my favorite Lee Salyers memory doesn't involve baseball at all, actually. So we had societies, which was our version of fraternities, there our senior year, and Lee rode all the way from Red Bank to campus in a wolf costume. It was the most awesome thing ever. He was waving at everybody out the door and stuff. It was awesome. We had a lot of fun with that.
That is awesome, man.
Well, I was very susceptible in those days.
Yep. we were having DJ. We were having a real deep conversation involving girls, and Lee got his words all mixed up. He was trying to say he was skeptical.
Yes.
We're driving down the road, just having a serious conversation. Lee said, "I'm feeling really susceptible right now," and I was like, "Susceptible? What are you talking about?" And anyway, we've joked about that ever since.
Ever since, DJ, do you remember the stuffed dog that made its way out onto the field at Tennessee Wesleyan?
I do not.
Stuffed dog. I don't remember that either.
Yeah, there was a stuffed dog that somebody had brought along from their girlfriend at the time, and somebody got it and threw it out on the field. And
I do vaguely remember this.
Oh my God!
I think that same game he got put in at pitcher, and he said he reached back for a little extra, and the guy hit it over the tree. At center field.
I do remember that.
Yes. But DJ, my favorite story of all time has to be when we went to Clearwater on spring break, and we went to the spring training baseball game, and the Phillies were there playing, and we were trying to get some autographs, and DJ's like, "Oh, Mr. Burrell, Mr. Burrell." Whisper it to him, and he turns around. Oh, he didn't hear me.
Hey, DJ had another Mr. Burrell moment, Lee. I don't think have we got to talk about this, DJ?
Nope.
DJ is sitting in traffic and looks out, and there's Ryan Dempster. And so you would think, as the proprietor of a big podcast like ours, he would have been willing to just talk to him. And DJ, you just describe for us the interaction right there.
So I'm sitting in traffic like is normal in Chicago. And so I'm sitting right by Michigan Avenue and I look out my rear view mirror and there's this guy there. And I'm like, that looks so much like Ryan Dempster. And so I did like a little turn and he's like 3 feet from my car. And so I roll the window down real quick and I'm like, hey, you're Ryan Dempster. And he's like, hey,
Oh,
man, how's
thanks.
it going?
That was it? You didn't try to like,
That was
Gotta
it.
get
What
your
are you
autograph
doing?
or something.
That was it. I didn't say, hey, come here, take a picture with me. That would have been the awesome thing. Like, I already have his autograph, but hey, come get a picture real quick. I'm not going anywhere. You know, we're stuck in traffic. Plus, even if I move fast or if I don't move, they're going to honk at me anyway. So I was just like, hey, come here, take a picture real quick. Nope. He keeps walking. By the time I could get my camera, he's way back there. And I get a shot of his back of his head. So it was bad. It was really bad.
Mr. Burrell all over again.
Mr.
Yeah.
Burrell all over again. DJ, you had a second chance to redeem yourself and blew it again.
Never fails, Lee. Never fails, man. Choke job.
Yeah.
So Lee, talk about some teammates you still talk to this day.
Some teammates. Oh man. You know, I talk to you guys, of course. You know, Hoobie every once in a while. Please tell me you told the monster truck story when Hoobie was on here.
Did we hit that, DJ?
You better have hit that. If not, we have to have it back on.
Oh, we're gonna have to double back on that.
Yeah, taking my baby to the monster trucks, you know. and his SARS that he caught.
Yeah, we did talk about that. He had the original SARS.
You know, I don't get to talk to Hoobie as much as I would like to. I run into Coach Hall and Robert here, you know, in Chattanooga occasionally. Which is crazy about that. I ran into Robert last December at my brother's wedding. Like they were my brother's wife, their family knew Robert and they had them cater the reception and everything. And so I was there and Robert shows up. It's like, Robert, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, we're catering it. So we got to catch up a little bit then, and that was fun. You know, I talked to Morgan a little bit when Mishaw passed away. But other than that, really, I don't see anybody.
Yeah, it's sad, man. We all kind of go our own ways, and it's harder as we get older and have kids and all that stuff. So, talk about what it was like to play with Coach Hall, or for Coach Hall, I should say, Lee.
You know, I mean, you know, it was just water under the bridge. You know, I mean, it was. Was favorite. Yeah. You know, that was his favorite saying, you know, is we weren't going to get hung up on a loss. We just had to keep moving forward on on to the next game, you know, and, you know, he always had us playing, you know, tough competition. And so when it came, you know, region time, playoff time, you know, we were ready to go. And we had some good years in there where we came close to winning some games. I remember one year we hosted it. We had Caleb Markham was putting in pools all day, and then he comes running in to pitch for us. So we were out of pitching, like, and we call him up and say, "Hey, throw a game for us." You know, but I love Coach Hall. You know, he's was a great guy. You know, a Liberty player, Liberty grad. You know, I always remember him having the van out there dragging the field.
Oh my God.
You know,
Awesome.
never forget that. I'll never forget the time that we were trying to go somewhere and he couldn't find the keys to the van anywhere. And he was looking for like an hour for these keys to the van. He finally gets mad and slams the driver door of the van, and the keys are in the they're in the door.
Classic moment.
Door of the van. So then from that point on, we were hanging gloves on our hats and from our bills or caps. You're like, Coach, you see my glove anywhere?
He was pretty bad, man. He told me, open your bag. check and see if your keys are in your bag. I was like, I don't have them,
we're
coach.
all
I gotta
open
know
our
what you're talking
bags.
about.
Like he thought one of us was playing the joke on him.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if you guys remember this, but while all this was going on, there was one thing that we were trying to hide from him, and that was the big gray place where the rainbow TTU sign was. So the whole time I'm kind of like, don't look at that back door. Don't look at that back door. Sure enough, those keys are in the door. It was awesome.
That is awesome,
Yep.
man. So Lee, I got something pretty cool for you, man. So I talked to Coach
Okay.
Hall and told him that you were coming on the show this week. And he gave me a quote about you, man. So this is really cool. So this is from Coach Hall. He's quoted as saying, Lee was a guy who had a lot of spunk. He was my Tennessee Vol, thorn in the side back then. He gets into college football talk. This is where he lost me a little bit. He says, I never said anything about the current 15-game winning streak to him, though. So to his credit, he keeps quiet about that. He says he will never forget your pitching performance against Emmanuel College, where you got your win. He says he won 9-5, and it was a masterpiece of slow curveballs, slow changeups, slow sliders, and slow fastballs. That's absolutely awesome. And he closed the quote as saying Lee is a great guy. So he had a lot of good things to say about you, man. So I just thought I'd share that with you because what a great guy he was, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate that. That definitely means a lot.
For sure, man. So Lee, you got anything else to add, buddy?
Man, not really. I appreciate you guys having me on. I know you've been begging me for a while to come on here on this show. An old country boy from Tennessee down here. So I appreciate you letting me on, and hopefully I didn't embarrass myself too much.
Nope, you did good, man.
You did do awesome, man. So I'll close the show with this. Lee, let me say a couple things to both of you real quick, kind of on a serious note. Lee, thanks for your service, man. I know in this time and age that we're living in right now, your job is not easy by any means or stretch of the imagination. So I know you don't really protect my community, but you protect America, and that means a lot, man. And I know it's not an easy job right now. So we're behind you 100% in what you're doing, man. So keep up the good work with that. David, my condolences to you, Allison's grandma passing. I know you were both very close to her. So condolences to both of you on that, and I wish you nothing but the best as you try to recover from that as well. So guys, enjoy the World Series, man. I know we're going to be talking about it here a lot this week. We're having some fun with each other, so I look forward to that.
Yep.
For sure. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on YouTube, and share this with your friends, and we'll get this out here as soon as possible. And everybody have a great night.
See you guys.
Praise.
Attaboy.